Mark's hands trembled as he cleared out his desk, the echo of his boss's words still ringing in his ears. "You're fired!" she had shouted, her face flushed with anger. But what happened next would change both their lives forever in ways neither could have imagined. If you've ever faced an impossible choice between work and family, this story might just break your heart, and then put it back together again. Like and subscribe for more stories that remind us what truly matters in life. The first warning sign had come 3 months earlier, though Mark Reynolds hadn't recognized it at the time. He was hunched over his computer, eyes burning from staring at spreadsheets for hours, when his phone vibrated with a text from his daughter's school. "Mr. Reynolds, Lily is in the nurse's office again. Her fever has returned. Please come as soon as possible." Mark's stomach dropped. This was the 3rd time this month. At 38, he'd been a single father for just over a year since losing his wife, Claire, to cancer. Every day felt like walking a tightrope, balancing his job as senior account manager at Meridian Marketing with raising his 8-year-old daughter alone. He glanced at the time, 2:15 p.m. He still had to finish the Henderson proposal due tomorrow. His boss, Victoria Winters, had made it clear that landing this client was crucial for the company, and for his future there. Mark quickly typed an email to Victoria. "Family emergency. Need to leave early. We'll finish proposal from home tonight." He hit send, grabbed his jacket, and rushed toward the elevator. As the doors were closing, a manicured hand shot between them. Victoria stepped in, her expression unreadable behind designer glasses. "Leaving early again, Mark?" Her tone was neutral, but he caught the slight edge to it. "Lily's sick. School nurse called." He shifted uncomfortably. "I'll have the Henderson proposal on your desk first thing tomorrow." Victoria nodded curtly. "See that you do. The presentation is at 10. That night, after giving Lily her medicine and tucking her in, Mark worked until 3 a.m. to finish the proposal. When his alarm blared at 6:30, his eyes felt like sandpaper. Lily's fever had broken, but she was still too sick for school. After an hour of failed attempts to find a last-minute sitter, he made the call he'd been dreading. "Victoria? I can't come in today. Lily's still sick, and I can't find anyone to watch her." The silence on the other end stretched uncomfortably before Victoria spoke. "The Henderson meeting is critical, Mark. We've been pursuing this client for months." "I know. I've emailed you the completed proposal. I can join by video call for the presentation." Another pause. "Fine. Be ready at 10 sharp." The video presentation had gone reasonably well, despite Lily interrupting twice, once for medicine and once because she'd had a bad dream. Mark thought he'd salvaged the situation, but Victoria's terse email afterward suggested otherwise. "We need to discuss your commitment level. My office, Monday, 9 a.m. That meeting never happened. Lily's condition worsened over the weekend, landing them in the emergency room with what turned out to be pneumonia. Mark sent another email, this one from the hospital waiting room, explaining the situation and asking to reschedule. Victoria's response was a single line. "Keep me updated on your return date." For 3 days, Mark barely left Lily's hospital bedside, working on his laptop when she slept. The doctors finally released her with strict instructions for home care and rest. Mark requested to work remotely for the remainder of the week. "Not possible," Victoria replied. "We lost Henderson. Your physical presence is required to help mitigate the damage with other accounts." Mark returned to the office the following Monday, leaving Lily with his elderly neighbor who had offered to help. He walked into a frosty reception. Victoria barely acknowledged him in the morning meeting, assigning him to smaller accounts while giving his major clients to other team members. The pattern continued for weeks. Each time Lily needed him, for doctor's appointments, school conferences, or sick days, Mark felt Victoria's disapproval intensify. He started receiving emails questioning his expense reports, criticizing minor errors in his work, and demanding unnecessary updates on projects. Then came the performance review. Victoria sat across from him, a folder open between them. "Your work has become inconsistent, Mark. Your billable hours are down 20% from last year. I've been dealing with some personal challenges. We all have personal lives. She cut in. But this is a business. I need people I can count on. I've never missed a deadline. Mark defended himself. I've been working nights and weekends to keep up. Quality matters as much as completion. The Henderson account was completed to specifications and on time. Mark finished. I can't control that Lily got sick on the day of the presentation. Victoria removed her glasses, pinching the bridge of her nose. I'm putting you on a performance improvement plan. 30 days to demonstrate consistent attendance and quality work, or we'll have to reconsider your position here. Mark left the meeting feeling hollow. For 5 years, he'd given everything to Meridian. Before Claire's illness, he'd regularly worked 60-hour weeks, brought in major accounts, and received glowing reviews. Victoria had even mentioned him as a potential partner-track candidate. Now, it seemed none of that mattered. That night, after Lily was asleep, Mark updated his resume. The thought of job hunting exhausted him, but he couldn't risk unemployment. Not with a mortgage, medical bills, and a daughter depending on him. The next few weeks became a blur of impossible choices. When Lily's school called about her having a panic attack during a fire drill, something that had triggered her since witnessing her mother's medical emergency, Mark had to choose between attending an important client meeting or picking up his traumatized daughter. He chose Lily. When she developed an ear infection the night before a major presentation, he stayed up administering medicine and comfort, arriving at work bleary-eyed but prepared. Victoria noticed. You look terrible, she remarked as he refilled his coffee cup for the third time before 10 a.m. Rough night. Lily's sick again. Something flickered across Victoria's face. Annoyance? Concern? It disappeared too quickly to identify. The Westbrook presentation can't be postponed. They're flying in specifically to meet with you. I'll be ready, Mark assured her. He was, but barely. The presentation went well enough, but afterward, Victoria cornered him in the conference room. You nearly lost them with that hesitation on the budget questions. I got it back on track, Mark defended. Barely. This can't continue, Mark. Figure out your childcare situation or what? Mark interrupted, frustration finally boiling over. Fire me for being a single parent? For choosing my daughter when she needs me? Victoria's eyes widened slightly at his outburst. For failing to meet the standards of your position, she finished coldly. My office. Tomorrow morning. Mark spent that night updating his LinkedIn profile and sending emails to contacts who might know of openings. He also made a decision. If Victoria fired him tomorrow, he wouldn't beg. He'd hold his head high and find something that allowed him to be both a provider and a father. The next morning, Mark dropped Lily at school, promising to pick her up for her doctor's appointment at 2:30. He arrived at the office early, determined to face whatever came with dignity. Victoria wasn't in yet. Mark settled at his desk, organizing files and preparing handover notes for his accounts, just in case. By 9:30, she still hadn't arrived, unusual for someone who typically beat everyone to the office. At 10:15, Mark received a text from an unknown number. Meeting postponed. Emergency. The relief and dread battled within him. Another day of uncertainty. The reprieve lasted 3 days. Victoria remained absent, with only brief emails to the team about working remotely due to a personal matter. Mark used the time to catch up on work and discreetly speak with a recruiter. On the 4th day, Victoria returned. Mark noticed immediately that something was different. Her typically immaculate appearance showed subtle signs of strain, slightly smudged mascara, a wrinkle in her blouse that would normally never have escaped her attention. She walked past his desk without a word, closing her office door behind her. An hour later, her assistant messaged him. Victoria wants to see you now. This was it. Mark straightened his tie, grabbed a notepad as a prop for his dignity, and walked the long corridor to her office. He knocked once and entered. Victoria sat behind her desk, looking more vulnerable than he'd ever seen her. The usual stacks of organized files were missing, replaced by a single framed photo he'd never noticed before. "Sit down, Mark," he did, bracing himself. "My mother had a stroke on Tuesday," she said without preamble. "She lives alone in Boston. I've spent the last 3 days in hospitals, speaking with doctors, and arranging care." Mark blinked, caught off guard by this personal disclosure. "I'm sorry to hear that. Is she going to be okay?" Victoria removed her glasses, revealing reddened eyes. "They think so, with time and therapy. But she can't live alone anymore." She paused. "I'm her only family." Mark nodded, unsure where this was going. "I've spent the past year judging you for putting your daughter first," Victoria continued, her voice uncharacteristically soft. "I convinced myself that professional commitment meant sacrificing everything else. Then suddenly, I was the one running out of meetings to take calls from doctors." She turned the frame on her desk so Mark could see it, a photo of a younger Victoria with an elegant older woman, both smiling on what looked like a vacation somewhere tropical. "I owe you an apology, Mark. A significant one." Mark sat stunned. In 5 years, he'd never heard Victoria apologize to anyone. "I still need reliable employees," she continued. "But I've been thinking about solutions rather than ultimatums. What if we implemented more flexible remote work options? Created an emergency family leave pool? Adjusted meeting schedules to accommodate school hours?" Mark found his voice. "Those would make a huge difference. Not just for me, but for everyone with family responsibilities." Victoria nodded. "I'd like you to help develop these policies. Your perspective would be valuable." She hesitated. "That is, if you're still interested in staying with Meridian." "I thought you were firing me today," Mark admitted. A ghost of a smile touched Victoria's lips. "I considered it before. Not anymore." She straightened in her chair, some of her usual authority returning. "Though I do expect you to maintain the quality of work you were known for before everything happened." "I can do that, especially with some flexibility." "Good." Victoria replaced her glasses. "Now, about the Westbrook account." They spent the next hour discussing work, but with a new understanding between them. As Mark stood to leave, Victoria said, "One more thing. I've arranged for the company to contract with a backup childcare service. It's a pilot program, but if it works, we'll make it permanent. You're the first one with access." "Thank you," Mark said, genuinely moved. "That would be life-changing." "It's good business," Victoria replied, but her expression had softened. "Sometimes the best employees are the ones who understand that life is more than spreadsheets and client meetings." 6 months later, Meridian Marketing unveiled its new family-friendly workplace initiatives. Employee satisfaction scores rose, and surprisingly, so did productivity. Mark led the committee that developed the policies, drawing on his experiences to create meaningful support systems. Victoria's mother eventually moved into an assisted living facility near the office. Mark occasionally spotted Victoria leaving early to visit her, without the guilt or explanations he had once felt compelled to give. The most surprising development came during the company holiday party. Mark had brought Lily, now recovered and thriving. She spent the evening charming everyone, including Victoria, who awkwardly but sincerely complimented her science fair ribbon. As they were leaving, Lily tugged on Mark's sleeve. "Dad, is that lady still the one who wanted to fire you?" Mark winced, hoping Victoria hadn't overheard. "Things changed, sweetheart. Sometimes people just need to understand each other better." From across the room, Victoria caught his eye and nodded slightly, a mutual acknowledgement of how far they'd both come. That night, as Mark tucked Lily into bed, she asked, "Are you happy at your job now, Daddy?" Mark considered the question. "I am. It's still hard sometimes, balancing everything. But it's better when people understand that taking care of you isn't just something I have to do. It's something I want to do, more than anything else in the world." Lily smiled sleepily. "I think your boss understands that now." "I think she does too," Mark agreed, kissing his daughter's forehead. As he turned up the light, Mark reflected on the journey of the past year. He had nearly lost everything trying to be both the perfect employee and the perfect father. Instead, he had found something more valuable: the courage to stand by his priorities and the opportunity to create change that helped not just himself, but others facing the same struggles. Sometimes, he realized, what looks like the end of the road is actually just the beginning of a better path. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe for more content that explores the real challenges we face in balancing work, family, and finding our authentic path in life. Remember that sometimes our greatest setbacks lead to our most meaningful breakthroughs, and that standing up for what truly matters is always worth it in the end.